And we are live. Good evening, good evening, good evening. And welcome to, well, kind of planned. This kind of crept up on us because we always had intended in reviewing this movie. I think you wanted to, but you kind of held off because of the subject matter,
Subject
the
matter.
opening subject matter. But
Mhm.
but like I I think, as you can see by her companion next to her, Jen is a big dog fan and lover like myself, and I don't think anyone in their right fucking mind would want anything to happen to a dog. But
Well, unless you're running for VP of our great United States, then maybe this isn't such a horrific book.
yeah, but fucking Republican lunatics, not fuck's sake. Um,
We just
right,
lost
so
all your mega followers, Marty. We just lost all your mega followers.
no, no, not them. Not the dudes who stormed the Capitol. But anyway, babe, what we're going to be reviewing is 2008's Red. Not the movie with Bruce Willis, where it turns out he's a former assassin. No, this is another fantastic adaptation of Jack Ketchum novel. If you are a fan of The Woman or The Offspring or The Girl in the Basement, that is essentially the same author and same director. Lucky McGee came to bat for Jack Ketchum.
They were
If anyone's
friends. They were
wondering
good
who
friends.
Jack Ketchum is, Jen, why don't you catch him up on who Jack Ketchum is?
Well, Jack Ketchum, which was a pen name, his actual name was Dallas. But who Jack Ketchum was one of the most brilliant horror authors of our time. In fact, Stephen King actually called him the most scariest man in America. And what I love about Ketchum is, yes, could he do gore and horror? Yes. Three of his books are based off cannibalistic people and children even eat people in these books. I mean, these books go pretty dark, pretty disturbing. But what I think people come back for with Ketchum is especially when this particular movie and book we're going to be talking about, discussing today, is the humanity. He brings humanity. You come for. He got a compliment from another author, Peter Stroud, that say people come to him kind of for the gore and that stuff, but they stay because he writes so well. Like there's humanity, there's humor, a lot. Not in this particular book, but there's humor in his books as well. And there is just something. I've always been a great admirer of the gentleman, and he's written, like you said, so many great books, and he's very versatile. He does so many nuanced subjects, and he does them well, but he doesn't do them like he's very approachable. Like you think they're simple stories, but then you really start to look at the subtext and you realize, shit, this is nothing but this isn't a simple story. There's a lot of subtext, and that's something that goes through all of his writing. He's just brilliant. He was brilliant. He's no longer with us, unfortunately, but I was just a great admirer of his. I love him, and Lucky McKee worked well. If anyone who's a fan of May has seen any of Lucky McKee's work, they just really worked well together.
Yeah, like he seemed to come to bat for him for a lot of his stuff,
They were
and
friends.
it was interesting as well to see that, like, he, like, one could say, oh, McGee just wants to do kind of like shocking, gory horror. There
No,
is I think Red is a very different beast from some of the other McGee Ketchum collaborations. But there's still an air
a
of,
common thread, I would say.
yeah,
There's
common thread, and there is still an air of kind of savagery there, but not kind of um not grotesque, or not in a very kind of exploitative kind of way. Not saying that The Woman is exploitative, but I do think a lot of people watch The Woman and Offspring, the prior movie to The Woman, because there is a lot of graphic violence. And again, another movie of his, The Girl in the Basement,
Girl Next
which
Door.
is,
Yeah,
yeah, which is a very hard watch.
it is.
Not that this isn't a hard watch, but it's not gratuitous as those other two movies. I don't think, Jen. What do you think?
No, I agree with you on that. But again, but this movie is the one I have and I just watched it. I've been staying I don't like to think of myself as a lightweight, Marty, but this is a movie I read the book, but I had purposely stayed away from this movie because the book was hard for someone like even me to get through. And the book is very much like the movie. There's nothing super graphic, super gory or anything. The scenes are handled well with the dog, but there's just this, you just feel like this party you just dropping in your stomach, and you just it was hard, it was a hard watch, and the movie's brilliant. I'm actually really glad that you showed it to me today. I was very apprehensive, and I was like, oh, I don't want to see a dog get his head blown off by these little punks. But then the magic is, and this is why the book works and why the movie works so well, is because Jack Ketchum isn't just talking. Anybody can write a story about a dog getting his head blown about these little punks, but then there's other things going on through the book, and it makes you question. And as a parent, it's not just about this little punk, it's about his fucking parents and the age old question of nature versus nurture and what it is to be a parent. And he's not in this parent isn't even doing it for the right reasons, because all parents defend their children and will go to bat and will hide bodies for our children if we fucking have to. This isn't what this is about. This isn't even about the kid. It's about ego, and I've got money, and it's just a mongrel dog, and you're not anybody. And it brings up class, it brings up parenting. This is the magic of Ketchum and Lucky.
Yeah, it's again like as Jen said, you think this is a straightforward kind of like you shot John
Wick kind of,
Wickian.
yes.
Yeah, revenge. But no, it goes a lot more visceral and not more deeper because um Brian Cox's character, Ave, he sees parallels with the McCormick boys in what happened his own two sons, which again, it doesn't show it, but for me, it's the standout in the movie. Just to let people know, the cast in this is fucking brilliant. You have Brian Cox. If you don't know who Brian Cox, Hannibal Lecter. He was William Stryker in the X-Men movies. He was in a bunch of stuff. He was in, what was that movie? Succession or series Succession. He was in that. Fantastic actor. He's brilliant in it. You have the late great Tom Sizemore. You have Kyle Gallagher, who was in Passengers, right, Jen?
Yes, he was, and this must have been a very early role. You were the one who recognized him, and then I'm like, oh shit, you're right. And he's becoming quite a horror darling, and I did not recognize him until you brought him up. And he's good in it too. He's really good. And
he's one of the better aspects of that fucking dull Nightmare on Elm Street remake. He's actually one of the better things. You also have Noel Fisher. If you're a fan of the U.S. Shameless, he plays Mickey Milkovich from the U.S. Shameless, the kind of shitty neighbor who starts a relationship with Cameron Monaghan's character. You also have
he
Kim
was
Dickinson.
also an SUV. He also
Oh,
he
yeah.
played a scumbag in that as well. And he gets a character in SUV murdered, a couple people murdered in it and stuff. And he plays a very kind of the same character. He's typecast, but he does it so well. You can understand why he's typecast. He kind of plays kind of a smarmy asshole, entitled kind of a little twat.
Yeah. Kim Dickens is also in this. You might know her from Deadwood, and she was
Robert
also,
Englund.
Sorry?
Robert Englund as well.
Oh, Robert Englund, yeah, has a small part. And yeah, it's just a solid. Fucking Amanda Plummer, she was Robert Englund's wife as well in that. Totally unrecognizable.
And an insufferable bitch.
Yeah, she does it good. She does a good job with it. But yeah, so Jen, do you want to give the rundown of the story and kind of the points? Some of was there any, like, just give the rundown of the story? What you think worked as an adaptation, and was there anything that didn't work for you in this version?
No, actually everything, and a lot of it has to go to Brian Cox, because the in the book he's heartbroken. Basically we're following this older gentleman, and he's lost everything in his life. He doesn't particularly have any money. His wife is gone, his family is gone. All he has in this world is the love of this old dog that his wife gave to him. And these little punks come in, rich, entitled little punks, spoiled, rich, entitled little punks come and have no accountability. And they're like, hey, we're rich. You don't matter, old man. And they were going to rob him, but he didn't really have anything to rob. So, out of meanness and spiteness and hatefulness, and God forbid anybody have a fucking kid like this. God forbid anyone have a parent have to walk in those shoes. But they blow off this kid, this dog, this poor guy's, this dog's head in front of this old man, and it's horrible. And again, you in a lesser author's hand, in a lesser director's hands, we would be focusing on the gore. That's not what this is. It is about the heartbreak, and how I love both in the book and in the movie the subtlety of just how this dog is basically the only thing holding this guy's life together, and he's lost this, and now he has to face some hard realities that he's been running from for quite a long time. And he's dealing with the death of this, but he's also, the past is coming back to haunt him, literally and figuratively. And that's one of the great things about Ketchum, is that, like, sounds like a simple story, but there's a lot more meaty subtext in this, and I'm only giving you a little bit of the synopsis, but that's what starts it out. And the fucking parents in this town, my fucking god, Marty, they're worse than the goddamn kid.
It's the sins of the father, or like, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Mhm.
You get the feeling though the younger brother, Harold, he genuinely feels bad, because he genuinely tries to make a connection with Ave, when he's talking about, like, fucking what's in his tackle box and stuff, and he's asking him, hey Nate, Nate the Horror Explorer's there. If you haven't checked out Nate's channel, be sure to check out Nate's channel. He does some cool reviews and does some good reviews of physical media. Yeah, like the younger brother, I kind of got the feeling that there was the potential for a good person there, but because of shit with his father and with his brother, like, he's been kind of subservient to their kind of asshole fucking nature. Nate also says, it's cool you guys are discussing Red. What's your favorite song by them?
I think they're thinking of another Red.
No, dude. It's the movie. It's the movie Red from 2008.
Based off a Jack Ketchum novel.
But is there a band called Red? Why don't you check it out? They should have got him. They should have got him to do a fucking crossover soundtrack. But do you think that the younger brother's a victim of circumstance, having a shitty older brother, and
you know what? It's the fucking I'm not gonna, just because I'm a parent, I'm not gonna let this fucking piece of shit father off the hook. It's the fucking again, and this could bring up a bigger discussion, because how much of your child's behavior reflects on you as a parent. I mean, there are parents that have raised them right with love and everything else, and they still turn out wrong. But this ain't one of those cases. He's just a fucking horrible, and again, and it parallels the woman in a way, because the son sees what the father,
I mentioned this to you. I got the feeling, you kind of corrected me on it, but I still get the feeling that Ketchum had a kind of disdain for the kind of affluent nuclear family, because between this and the fucking woman, like, you're like, Jesus Christ, he really hated the idea, or maybe he just kind of saw through the bullshit that is that kind of white picket kind of Americana facade that people strive for. Would you say that?
I would agree with you because look at it, the girl next door also, because the 50s is a very romanticized time in our thing, but he's pulling the curtain back on this, and like, not everyone was dressed like Lucy and having wacky adventures and driving really cool cars. Horrific child abuse, and people in the neighborhood knew what was going on. And I think Ketchum in his own way was trying to pull it back and going, just because we get these picture perfect Norman Rockwell esque kind of pictures doesn't mean that's actually what's going on in the family. And that's an interesting commentary. It really is. And like I said, but getting back to your question, Marty, I'm sorry I kind of diverted. I think the son is, but again, but then you could also be mad at that son too, because it wasn't he old enough to tell his father and his brother, hey, fuck off, this is wrong? Or do you think because he was cowed and because he was the younger one?
Yeah, it is. It's like, you see these. I've seen it before, and you've seen these fucking shitty fucking families, and I think everyone's seen it. Where like you have a neighbor, or you went to school with, or you live down the street from these fucking shitheel families, and like they're all wankers. But there's that one kid that you're like, how is this kid so fucking nice when he's around? But and you just get the feeling, I feel bad because this kid has so much potential, but he's in a family with these wankers. And it's again, Catchum. I'd say Catchum grew up seeing that, seeing like these fucking kind of just off the cusp of white trash families. And again, they have one kid who like is actually a genuinely decent person, but they're not given a chance. The whole nature nurture kind of thing, as you pointed out, they're not given a chance because they're just stuck in that
Cycle.
environment and shit.
Yeah, it is. And then and then of course there's always the need to please, he was the younger one, so he wanted to please his older brother, he wanted to please his father. And that's kind of the tragedy of it. But then you got to hold on, everyone has to pay for their sins in this world. And yeah, you can have excuses too, but at the end of the but then he was just a kid too. It's again, one thing I love about Ketchum is everything is gray. There is no simple
Yeah.
answers. There is no easy choices. And also I really like how later on in the book, especially toward the end, Brian Cox's character says, if I would have left this alone, these people wouldn't be dead. Spoiler, guys, but these people wouldn't be dead if I'd let. And I like that, because in a lesser movie we could have gotten this, because he gives us a happy ending, or at least as happy as this book can allow us to be. But he does it, they would make him the hero, and kind of Ketchum kind of goes, hey guys, people died because of me. I fucked up yet again. I'm
Yeah,
repeating again.
again, as you said before, it's the situation opened up old wounds, and it's a mirror of what happened. That fucking great story again. That story is the story Eve tells. Is it Eve or Av? Am I pronouncing?
Ave,
How do you
Ave,
pronounce it? Ave.
Ave.
The story Ave tells the reporter about his sons is like way more. Hey, Scottish geek guy is way more fucking harrowing than the entire runtime of The Woman. And this is a movie where a child cuts off a woman's nipple. So, like,
And our father has his son, say it's okay to go rape a woman, basically,
yeah.
as part of going into manhood. And that's nothing against the woman, but I get your point. I understand what you mean. Marty, do you want to, because I think this had a real impact on you. I know this is like the crucial scene for you. Do you want to talk about Ave's backstory and why this losing this dog basically takes us on a journey that, gets people killed?
So essentially, we learn it's about halfway through the story, we learn that Eve had two sons, and one of them was just, as he says, real easy. The younger one was a really easy, loving boy that was really close to his mother, and the other one was just a fuck up.
Difficult
And
from the start.
yeah, he was just, as he said, he was just sour from day one. And Eve
Marty, I
tried to
hate
fuck.
to interrupt you, but do you think there are some people that are, because it kind of points to that. Do you think there are some people that are just born bad or rotten or missing something? And it doesn't matter what parents they have, they would be that way
I
no
I
matter
think
what?
I think so, but I also think maybe because that was their first child, and maybe Eve wasn't able to kind of like again the other thing, and I'm not putting down veterans, or I'm not trying to fucking espouse any fucking theories about something, but you have this dude. So Eve is about 64 in this movie, came out in 2008. So it's it's kind of, sorry, it's a simple word I'm trying to fucking, it's kind of straightforward, or maybe kind of easy to deduce. Ave
Mm-hmm.
would have been in Vietnam, so that was probably the war he fought in. And as a result, a lot of those lads came back, a lot of those veterans came back, and
PTSD.
PTSD, and they were just fucking harder dudes. They were just made from harder fucking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you have your first child, and maybe like that's another thing. You get a sense of guilt as well from Eve, that as well, maybe not being there the night that tragedy happened. Maybe he was just too hard with the boy when he started, or maybe he was right. He was just sour from the offset. But as a result, he's the oldest boy. Like he sent him off to fucking the Navy. He got kicked out of the Navy for
On a
Section
Section
8.
8.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of mentally unstable, and it doesn't specifically say, but I'd say drugs were another issue, because the story tells that Abe went to do a kind of stock take on the shop he owned with his wife, and the wife and the younger brother were at home. The older brother came back. Danny, I think we no, was it
Mm-hmm.
Danny?
I
No,
believe it was.
no. Danny's one of the McCormicks. I'm trying to think what his name was.
I
But
can't.
the older brother came back anyway, and beat the mother looking for money. He beat her, and
Mm-hmm.
he thought he'd killed her. So he panicked, went upstairs, poured kerosene on the younger brother, and set him on
And you have
fire.
And you have to think that probably there was some resentment, because he probably knew you. In families, you always know there's always one golden child, and probably he knew, even if they're not treated differently. There's just there's
Yeah,
always, yeah. And so there was probably some resentment on that end too.
yeah. So he says his younger brother on fire, and then set his mother on fire, but he used kerosene, and it didn't burn as quickly as it could have. So the
Mm-hmm.
mother survived, and she tried getting upstairs to the son, the younger son, who had been burned to death, but she passed out. And like Ab says that, like, she went into a coma for 5 days before she died, and
Mm-hmm.
that was a blessing, because
She never
it's
knew.
like a harrowing fucking story. I'm not doing it justice. The way Cox describes it in the movie, I think it's way better. Maybe Jen could exposit it better than me, but
No, you're doing, I mean, it's just a horrible story about a father who like has these two sons, and and he knows that one of them isn't right, but and you got to look back, this is even further back than, and there was less help there. I mean, it's hard when you have that now, and they weren't, a family with a lot of money. So you have this, but what do you do with it when you don't have a lot of other options? And then you have this sweet kid, and he's gone, working at the store, and then literally, from a few hours his life is completely gone, and all he has left is the dog. And that's another part of the story he tells. He's like, I don't know, for some reason the older son put the dog in a bedroom, because I guess he was barking. He didn't hurt the dog, he just put him away. But of course, I guess he thought that the dog would burn up with the rest of the family,
the
but he
house,
fucked up
but
there.
the house didn't go up
Burned
because,
down.
as you said, he used kerosene, and like even 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 Brian Cox's characters explaining us, when he was telling us the story, he'd tell the truth, and then he'd go back and tell a lie, and it's just the frustration as well, and the distance, because there's you kind of get the feeling that, like, fucking He doesn't even mention that he visits his son or anything in prison or anything. He wants nothing to do. Like, one boy's dead and the other boy may as well be dead to him. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he even says that. He says, I don't have any sons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so
Would
did.
you? Would you? If it was your,
Oh, yeah.
would
Yeah, it's one of those things you don't know until you're in that fucking situation. Again, your children, like, how can you love one child to kill the other? It would be fucking.
some parents do, and then there are others that have to walk away, and I don't judge either of them because God forbid you ever have to be in their shoes. I don't judge. I've heard stories where parents, they think this is all they have left, so they'll do it. And then I've read other stories where parents have just walked away and said, "You're dead to me." And I don't judge either one because God forbid you ever have to stand in their shoes.
Unless you're Julia Stiles and then you use a miniaturized Eastern European girl to
Who's
cover up as your dead daughter who was murdered by your other son.
then she's just gonna go fuck her husband.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's again, the audience is probably you guys are probably wondering, Jesus, they're being very somber this evening. Well, it's a somber fucking movie. We
It
don't
is.
we don't always do the fucking dick jokes and everything. We might do one at the end, but by and large, this is a somber movie that deserves a very somber and kind of serious discussion. I
I
think.
agree, and it's. But again, what I love about this is there's so much nuances. I mean, it discusses things, and it's about real people. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter if you have money or if you don't. I mean, you have these problems. I guess another thing Jack was saying is no one gets out of this world. Even if you
Hmm.
are handed with money, you're still got problems. And as a parent, this is where the thing that I take away from this is the fucking parents are fucking monsters, and you have to hold, like, I'll hide bodies for the kids if I had to, if they had a justified reason. I'll
I
fucking
I I don't think now it might be different in the book. I think Tom Sizemore is a bollocks and a bully and a piece of shit.
That's what I mean.
No, but you said the parents.
I
I
was talking I was talking about him, and I was talking about the other Robert, if
Oh,
you
yeah,
want
yeah,
to.
yeah.
Yeah.
The she. But did you feel that the mother was just like, so? She was probably fucking abused. There's a lot of parallels actually between her and the mother and the woman
Yes, there
as
is.
well. Did you
I'm
get
glad you
that?
saw that.
Yeah, it's just this meek woman who's like, Jesus Christ, your family's coming apart at the seams. So do you think she's a victim of physical abuse or verbal abuse or?
Oh, I definitely think that. And I'm gonna give her a little more grace because while I don't condone what the father did, I can understand she's in a horrible situation, but it hasn't gotten that out of hand. But with the woman, because she knew what he was doing to those daughters. And that's where it's fine if you have to take punches. I won't judge you or anything. But if they fucking touch your kids and you don't try to kill them the first chance you get or find someone who will kill them, then that is on you. That's just my own personal thing. And so but it's different situations and stuff. But this woman is probably abused, and like it says, there's a thing where the lawyer's talking to the guy and saying, that I don't think he treats her very well, but he landed in a lot of money. She was a beauty queen, you know
Yeah,
and
so
that's in the book as well. And so yeah, it's just different circumstances, but there is parallels from this and the woman. But I don't give as much grace to the mother and the woman, because when they touch your kids, all bets are fucking off. It's one thing if you let them hit you, but if they ever touch a hair on your kid's head and you don't try to kill them or find someone who will, then that's on you.
yeah,
You're not a mother.
it's like, yeah, your kids are your kids, and if you let anything happen to them,
Yeah, and
fuck
even
that.
if they're bigger or abusive, you lie in wait, and you do whatever you have. If you either find someone who will do it or you
Okay,
wait
just
till they're.
also just quick notification. This cannot be used as in court as any kind of uh
I would if I had to wait till they were or
Jen,
drug them or
this
something. I
cannot be
would.
used in court.
I would. I mean, even if I was totally
Jen
scared,
Mitchell is not suggesting anyone murder anyone, okay?
Well, I mean,
Oh,
if
fish
they're
again, next to the
pedophiles,
dog.
sure, go ahead. If
Hmm.
they're pedophiles, then yes. If they're rapists or pedophiles, then go, do what you gotta do.
I agree. I agree. I agree.
But no, but
We in no way condone fucking murder, dirty, fucking malignant child
But we
molesters.
also don't condone people standing by while their kids are getting hurt or any kid
Yeah,
is getting hurt. You
yeah.
don't do it.
Um,
That's the worser of the two sins to me. Sometimes murder, I'm going to say something controversial here. Murder can sometimes be justified. Sometimes, if you have a good enough reason, okay. Is it your best option? Probably not. But sometimes it's like in this movie, again, it parallels to Red because the guy tried to do everything with the law. He got a lawyer. He went, he tried to go to the cops, but because the family was rich assholes, he was at a disadvantage. And sometimes I like that message in the book
but
too.
no,
Sometimes you gotta.
here's the thing though. Here's the thing. Brian Cox never initially wanted this
No.
to escalate in violence, and even when it comes to a head, even when he brims the body of the dog,
Mm,
he has no intention of like fucking killing anyone. He wants them to attack him, so
hmm
he has a legitimate reason to bring them to court.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like that too. But and he says at the end of the movie, I'm responsible for deaths if I just left it alone. But again, he's having to confront something and trying to, again, a lot of times people do, we go back and redo it. The definition of insanity is to repeat the same thing and expect different results, and that's kind of what we're doing in this movie.
Do you think it evolved from I want again? It as you said, it was a gift from his wife who
Mm-hmm.
died under tragic circumstances. Red, and 50% it was that. 50% it was on principle that
Mm-hmm.
something a wrong was done to him. It needs to be righted. Hey, Larry.
Hi, Larry. Yes, but I think deeper, it was him trying to go back and save. He's not saving his boys, but he's trying to save and trying to
Yeah,
hold
exactly. It
accountable.
progresses. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, these fucking young lads are set down the same path as my boy. I want to try and rectify this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like how, even though the kid that was scummy, there is a scene where he's telling him, "Look, I know him. He's not going to stop." He's talking about his dad. When they're in the car and they're behind him and they've got a gun, and the kid's like, he's not going to stop. He's not going to stop." And again, it kind of points the finger at the father. And I'm not saying that it's always the parents' fault. Sometimes kids are just bad from the start, like the one kid in in Brian Cox's story, his son. But I think sometimes the parents do have some blame on it, and being, letting them get away with murder and not holding them up to accountability or teaching them to be pieces of shit. I mean, there's consequences, and you put this out in the world and look what happens, and people die. There's consequences.
Yeah, and again, it's all the more tragic because you have Harold, Kyle Gallagher's character, who is genuinely probably a decent kid, but
Mm-hmm.
just he's as I said before. I don't know. Maybe
Circumstances.
you've experienced this as well. There's always that shitty fucking one piss hair away from fucking white trash, and they've got one kid who could be really good at academia, who could be just a genuinely decent fucking kid, but because they're fucking landed with that pile of shitheads, they don't get a chance, and
Yeah.
that's even more the tragedy.
Yeah, yeah, and that happens, and like you said, you see that over and over, and it doesn't matter what time period you're in. It's something over and over again, and life isn't fair. But then I guess no one ever said life could be fair, just eventful. But he again Ketchum. That's what the genius of Ketchum is. He brings all these, you think, very simplistic things, and then when you start really look at it, it really starts making you think and asking hard questions that don't necessarily have easy answers, because I'm also a parent, and yes, I would do anything for my kids. I would hide bodies, I would lie, but at the same time, I would also hold them accountability because I don't want them to be pieces of shit. I wouldn't want them, God forbid. I would beat their
Just a
asses.
reminder, everything that's said in this stream is admissible in court, okay? Okay?
But
Okay.
I would if that little bastard.
Everything is said in this stream cannot be used in court. This is the discussion over a fictional movie, and this discussion is on hypothetical situations.
Right, but if my kids acted like the little bastard in this story, I would beat their asses. I would beat their asses till they were until we went beat the bad out of them. You know, I would also hide a body if they came to me and said, "Mom, this is what happened. It wasn't exactly my fault. What the fuck are we gonna do? Get some bleach, darling."
Thanks, Nate. I I gotta cover her ass the whole time.
Ooh, in more ways than one, I hope.
Yeah, I suppose I will, but
But I mean, don't you agree? I mean, if it was your kids, would you be ashamed?
I think I'm at the disadvantage of not being a parent where I think maybe you have an even better connection with this movie because you're a parent.
Yeah, I do. I do. It speaks to me. But Jack Ketchum wasn't a parent either. That's why he said this was such a hard because the animals were his kids, and
Mm.
he because he was at a panel and everyone was saying what's the hardest thing to write about, and everyone else who had kids said oh anything with kids, and he was like, well, I don't have kids. Animals are hard for me. But he still manages, even though he wasn't a parent, he could still make people who are parents go, "Oh my God, God forbid you have to walk in this road." But again, it's in this case whereas in Brian Cox's character, you could make the argument at least his kid had not an excuse, but at least you can understand it a little easier that there were things
Yeah,
wrong in his head. Where
yeah,
this is just
there
an
was
entitled
mental
little
illness,
spoiled rich
and
kid.
there was mental illness, and there was the fact he came back to the house. Again, this is all suggested in the story that Cox tells, but he comes back to the house demanding money. So that also makes me think there was maybe substance abuse
Yeah,
as
and
well.
a lot of mentally ill people, that's how they'll self-medicate with drugs. It's a cycle. They'll some alcohol or drugs they'll self-medicate with. It's very common.
But
Not an
yeah,
excuse, but
it's
our
it.
healthcare system isn't great if you don't have money.
Yeah, that's every healthcare system.
Mhm.
Um, I think, I think this is again for me. I think this might be my favorite Lucky McGee movie.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I love the woman, and
Nate.
again, it's very it's a jolt to the system. The woman is, but the minute Cox starts telling that story, it's harrowing. It's harrowing to think your own child caused the death of your wife and your other child, and it's like, and you weren't there to stop it, and your entire family. Yes, he's one child alive, but that child is dead to him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, his whole family might as well have been murdered. Essentially, that's what happened. And it
Um,
also. Oh, sorry.
no, you're grand. Just Nate put up a statement there.
They push opiates on us until they snatch them away, and people turn to harsher. Yeah, you're right.
Just
I don't think things are still like that, but for a while, opiates were a huge problem. Yeah, it's better, but they're still, yeah, it's still a problem. But not to the extent it was, though.
look, say what you will about crystal meth, but it gave us a Finnish World War II war hero. Okay,
Oh, God. You're going to have to tell that story one of these days.
I will. Fucking
Um,
dude's legend.
One of the things also, speaking of, because I've been talking, and I'm sorry about this, Marty, because we're talking about the movie, not the book, but you're talking to a huge Ketchum fan. So,
No,
like, of course,
that's why I suggested we do it. And again, this can be about both mediums, right?
yeah, it really can be. But going to the film aspect of it, one of the things that I really love about Lucky McKee is there's some really, really subtle shots, but that managed to hit you in the gut. There was a great shot, and it's nothing. It's just him panning to a door that is all scratched up from the dog, and we linger on it for a while, and it just hits you. Again, this movie, it isn't where the dog's head getting blown up and hearing the dog whine is horrible, but it's these other shots that linger. And there's also a shot because the movie is called Red. There's a shot where it kind of dissolves into red toward the end. I'm sure you noticed it too, and I was like, that's an interesting technique.
Yeah, I thought that was a really nice kind of camera shot, and
Mm-hmm.
it really kind of heightened. Jesus Christ, what the fuck
Mm-hmm.
is are they trying to put is are they trying to show us into Cox's kind of mind, how that fucking is dissolving? Like, did you I don't know if it was in your cut, but when the transition, was there a literal red kind of screen as it
Yes, yes,
transitioned? And
yes. That's what I was
that's what
talking
I
about.
felt. It was it was trying to kind of show, dare I say, in one format or another,
Yeah, I
that
would
he
agree.
was kind of he literally was, his mind was kind of fragmenting or just filling with
With
anger,
red. Yeah, with
Yeah.
anger. And that's a great, and again, that's another thing I love about McGee. There's subtle touches with him. There's subtle touches with him, but in all of his movies and stuff, and his movies aren't necessarily subtle, but there are places where it's subtle, and I think those actually hit you more in the gut punches than sometimes the other ones.
Yeah, it's interesting. One thing, there was one thing I was a bit disappointed with,
What is it?
and um, you pointed it out, and it's like, we had a movie where Hannibal Lecter and Freddy Krueger were in the scene together, and yeah, I thought we could have. I know he was good. It's basically the skeezy kind of redneck dad of one of the McCormick boys' friends, and it's like, yeah, these are fucking meth head fucking parents or some shit,
Mm-hmm.
and I get that, but I don't know. I did you feel that they could have done a bit more with the
With
conversation
Robert.
or the engagement between the two?
I I did, but then we get to another scene later on after when the kids burn down his store, and he comes back to confront the other parents, the meth head ones and stuff, and they're just standing there and they're just smiling, and it's just and the lo- and they hold the scene for a long time. It's
Yeah,
not a quick shot, and the wife is, and they're just as happy. Oh, we don't he doesn't know anything about this. This is horrible, but they're smiling. And we've all known, again, very universal. We've all known people who, like, you're giving them horrible news and they're going, "Oh, it's horrible," but their face is saying, "Oh, I'm glad this is happening to you, asshole. You got what you deserve." And I mean, they're being blatant about it, and you just want to go and again. That's what I was saying about the parents. They're just fucking horrible pieces of shit.
I do like Cox's deductive reasoning, also turning it into a jab at the family. And he's like, "Oh, you're getting your yard fixed up. That's pretty expensive. You're out of work, aren't you?" And England's like, "Fuck you, Mister."
And England is great. Like, he doesn't have a big thing to do with the role, but he still manages to bring, he brings what he always brings, even if in a small role. He brings, but I am what I am. We do have Hannibal Lecter and we do have Freddie. I mean, they're not in their characters, but they are the actors who played them. And it is kind of a missed potential to have Freddy Krueger and Hannibal Lecter in a scene together and not do a little bit more, but they do what they can. And like I said, Robert England is always, this is one of the few times where I can't get behind Robert England. Like, you're just such a piece of shit, dude. And your
Again,
wife's
just
even worse.
pure fucking way. These characters are like, yeah, Jesus, you could have put these pieces of shit in a fucking Rob Zombie movie, and they would have fitted right in.
Mm-hmm.
But again, probably this is probably going counter to what I was just complaining about, and diametrically opposed to me wanting to see um Cox in England kind of go full thespian. But Cox does the role with such subtlety Like a lesser actor would be like, "You shot my dog," or kind of fucking screaming or roaring or being a lot more fucking melodramatic.
Mhm.
He doesn't come off across. He doesn't come across as a dude who's like fucking eaten up with rage or anger,
But he is.
but he is, and that's the
Yeah.
brilliant thing. You can see that he's fucking bottling that shit up, and
Mhm.
by the time it comes to the scene that you hated, where he digs up Red and brings him to the fucking family's house,
Yeah.
you can just say it, he's just like he's Red and the store were the last connections to his wife. Red shot by the fucking the McCormick kid, and then his store's burnt down, probably by the McCormicks, probably by the McCormick's friend. But the it's just that scene. You like, is it madness? Does he is it, he goes there wanting to instigate something. Now,
Mhm.
my thing is, I think there's two possible things he wants to instigate. First thing he wants to instigate is, okay, first kind of plan he has is, well, if I can get them to attack me, then I've got something to hold them against in court.
Yes.
And if they kill me, at least I don't have to fucking live without my fucking dog or my wife's
Wife
store.
anymore.
Yeah, it's just, that
Yeah.
I think he's kind of going there. I got nothing left to lose. Best case scenario, I get one of these fuckers to attack me, and I got a case against them. Worst case, I die.
Which isn't that worse of a case for him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you get that feeling in that scene?
I do, and I like, and again, like you said, you put it brilliantly, Marty, because he's so stoic. He is that, and there's a stillness in this performance, and those people I think are the most. And from a little bit of human behavior I've watched, I think it's one thing. I've seen people rage, and I've seen some people really rage, but sometimes the scariest people to me are the ones that get really quiet and hold everything in, because we're just on a, eventually those dams have got to burst, and that's what he's doing. And it's just so heartbreaking. And the scene where he before earlier in the film, where the kids are just, something's good's not happening, they're these kids are trouble, there's something bad's gonna happen, and he's petting the dog, and he kind of like he's sussing out something's gonna happen before it happens, and then
Yeah.
boom, and you just see this
He does.
heartbreak.
He doesn't want to escalate the situation. He's
Yeah.
there to fish. He doesn't want his dog hurt. He doesn't want. He's literally here. Here's the keys to my car. Wallet's in the fuck. He's telling them exactly where the wallet is.
Mm-hmm.
And again, they're just being fucking shit. Two of
Shit.
them are being shits. The
Mm-hmm.
younger brother. The sad thing is, the younger brother actually shoots to shit with Cox's car. You can see from the offset that while the Kyle and that other fucking redneck friend of his, they're just fucking nasty pieces of shit. The younger brother tries to engage him in conversation because
Mm-hmm.
maybe he doesn't get a chance to talk to someone who's like not
Decent.
his family, like,
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And the tragedy, and like, if things could have, if in a more just world, that should have been his son, maybe,
Yeah,
and maybe, but it didn't work out that way. His Brian Cox's first son might have fit better in the family, and the other one would have fit better
yeah.
in his family.
Like that.
Yeah.
That's even kind of paralleled, because you have Harold, Kyle Gallner's character near the end. Spoilers, guys, just in case you want to watch this movie. Um, Kyle Gallner, the better son, the son who's not a piece of shit, gets shot, and
Yeah.
he's fucking dying and bleeding out.
And it's
Uh,
very reminiscent of the scene with his dog.
yeah,
Did you get that too? Yeah, it's almost, you could, because he's shot the same way. He's whimpering much like the dog did, and it's very. I loved, that was another thing I loved about Lucky. He did how the scene is played, because you look at him back to back or side to side, and you're like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing here.
it's actually it's up on YouTube, but I don't think it's available to watch in the United States on YouTube.
It
Where
might be on Tubi. I don't know. It might be on. It was on Tubi, but I don't know if it still is.
I'll just check. You're on a
But it's a heartbreaking film, and it's in the book is a heart, but the thing about it, and this isn't something like Ketchum, Ketchum is somewhat of a gloomy guy in some of his writings, just a wee bit.
oh yeah, I was like, I was surprised that, like, cause there it's not a sunshine and roses ending, but it's a lot more optimistic than you might think.
Yes, but it doesn't feel like disingenuous or diabetic sugary, let's give a Disney fucking happy ending. It feels very organic. And I do. And Jack Ketchum wasn't, like, not all of his books, spoiler if you guys want to read any of Ketchum's work, which I strongly advise you all do, he didn't always give happy endings to his books.
No, and this one's fairly optimistic.
Mhm.
We've kind of bounced all over the place. Check out the movie. We're not gonna go into the nitty gritty of it.
I think
You
what
think,
we have, I think we've hit some good points.
yeah, but we haven't like gone over the plot, because sometimes we go in depth into the plot and give a kind of step by step kind of analysis. But by and large, it's well worth the watch. It's not on Netflix or any of the major streaming platforms. It is on Voodoo and Sling TV, whatever the fuck Sling TV is. I don't know.
And
Maybe it is on Tubi. I don't know.
you might could find it maybe on Amazon or rent it. I would read the book first. I would strongly recommend reading the book first, and it would be a good introduction if you've never read Jack Ketchum. That would be a good introduction. A lot of people, the little girl, the girl next door is usually what most people start with Ketchum, but I don't think Red would be a bad introduction.
Gee, I think that would be people that I'm amazed that story wouldn't put people off.
Well, it was based on true. Now that one isn't Ketchum's fault. That one he was based on a true story. So this one is
wasn't there another version done with
and I can't remember
Elliot
the name.
Page?
Yes, and that's a great one too. Both of them are good. Both of them are good. Both adaptations are good. I can't think of the damn name of that one though, Marty.
I'll look it up. Give me 1 second. Also, I just see if this works. Again, I don't think it'll work for anyone in the United States, but error.
Oh.
So Elliot Page.
And there's always pirating sites too. Like, not that we're condoning it.
Oh yeah, good one, babe. Good one. We're not condoning it. We're not condoning pirating, but we are condoning murder.
Well, I mean, sometimes you can explain murder.
Yeah, depends. Depends.
I mean, darling, if you came to me in the middle of the night all covered in blood and go, okay, Jen, you're going to be really upset, but hear me out. I would be the type of wife that would hear you out and then would be like, God damn it, Marty, let's go get some bleach.
An American Crime. That was the one they were in.
It. And that's a good one too.
That came out in 2007.
Acquiring, yes, that's a good word, Larry. Yes, acquiring. If you want to acquire it, if you know there's sites out there, yeah, you could find. I know for a fact you could find it on those sites. So
Jesus Christ.
I heard, okay? Don't fucking judge me, Marty. If you hypothetically killed somebody, I would fucking help you clean up and chop up the body. And if I didn't like him, I'd probably feed him to someone else I didn't like.
Babe, I'm Irish. If I was going to kill anyone, there'd be no body left,
No, but I didn't want to get into the stereotype. I've been accused of it. I don't want to be like racist or anything. Although I don't know if I could be racist against your culture since I'm dating your culture,
Jen, that is lots of my friends are black. That's the equivalent of that. Yeah, she is. She is.
I would. I would. I would help him move a body if I had to. I would.
Also, yeah, check out Coffin Crew's channel. He does some absolutely fucking sick art. He does some amazing artwork. Check out Larry's channel. Larry was on my channel last night. Big collector of figures, big film aficionado. And yeah, Nate's channel. As I said before, check out Nate's channel.
All
But
good.
yeah, again, I think this is my favorite adaptation.
Of a Ketchum book.
Yeah,
I
I
get
think it is my favorite adaptation of a Ketchum book, and my favorite kind of Ketchum Lucky McGee collaborations.
collaboration.
Um, Ketchum himself, Jen spotted this because I don't know what the dude looks like. He turns up in the movie as well, right?
He does. He plays like a bartender, and he's just there for a minute, and he's just there because hey, it's the author of the book of the book that were turned into a movie, and him and Lucky were really good friends, and I got so I can't lie, Marty, I got so happy seeing him. I was like, oh, I
I
get it.
did. I noticed that big fucking smile came up on her face. It was like she saw an old friend again, and
It was. That's exactly what it was. It was like, oh, it's like he's still with us. A part of him is always still with us. It just like
I like the fact he calls him Jack as well. He
yeah.
uses his pen name. Was it? Did he release anything under his actual name, Dallas?
Not that I know of. Everything I've ever read from, but it could be, could be. But everything I've and Jack Ketchum is such a cool sounding name. Like Dallas is cool too, but I like Ketchum.
Fun fact, Jen. It turned out he did have children. He had one son. I'm just checking here. He had one son, but that son went off into the forest to catch Pokemon.
Don't you dare say the rest of what you're thinking of saying. Don't you dare finish that thought. I know what you're thinking, Marty. Don't say it.
His son was called Ash.
Not funny.
Well, considering we've been condoning piracy and murder and, talking about, I said I'd give some levity to it.
And the end, we're not going to spoil the ending, but the ending I do love. I do love the ending because it's organic, but it's also sweet and somewhat hopeful. And I think that's what life is. We sometimes horrendous things happen to us, but you got to find the good wherever you can find it. And I like that Jack left us on that hopeful note, that there's, even if when the world is at its worst, it's still worth fighting for. I think another author said something like that once.
Yeah. I catch him in his Jesus Christ, stop voting me for stuff, lads. I appreciate it, but
I'll vote for you. I'll do more than vote for you.
Jesus Christ.
Do you want to tell everyone so you don't lose the election, Marty? You did not have sex with me. You did not have sex with that American woman. Well, then how do you explain this stain?
I did not have relations with that woman. I was across the room when my bodily fluids. But what was I going to say to you again? Yeah, like your video, you done a fantastic, Jen, and another video to check out. Jen done a fantastic video on her top 10 Jack Ketchum novels, and there's an interview, and the Ketchum kind of has a very poignant kind of spiel about like how people are kind of taken aback why he writes such horrendous kind of graphic things. And he says it's important because it helps highlight the good that is needed in the world, like things like friendship and loyalty and stuff. And I genuinely like listening to him chat and listening to what Jen has to say and listening to like interviews and stuff with him. He seemed like a genuinely nice fucking dude. And yeah, it's a shame because I would have, if he was doing a book signing or something, I think myself and Jen would have definitely have gone to that.
I probably would have creeped. I would have been like, "Hi, I'm your number one fan, Mr. Ketchum. I love you."
And Ketchum's like, "Are you okay with this?" She's already fucking obsessed with a skinny dude who dresses as a clown. What can I fucking do at this stage?
Yeah, whenever I hear him, it makes it's a bittersweet kind of melancholy because like you're glad he was in the world, but you wish selfishly you wished he would have been in it a little bit longer because he just made the world a little better.
Di- where does this rate on the scale of Catchum McGee collaborations for you?
Um, for me, it would see. I love them all, like for different reasons. This one, it's hard for me because again, and you noticed this when we first, and I think you thought, and I wasn't upset with you or anything. It's just I was like, oh, do I really want to see a dog get his? And I knew Lucky would handle it, and he did. He handled it very as good as you can with the subject matter. But I was very apprehensive, and I'm not someone who's very squeamish
I
very
Yeah,
often.
again, I do like the fact that I think maybe McGee and Ketchum is an animal lover. I do like in the woman we saw, we saw we saw a feral woman getting her nipple cut off. But in this movie, we don't see the dog getting shot in the head. I like ultimate horror fan kind of do what the fuck you like to a human being. Don't hurt the fucking dog.
Basically, that's the true horror fan right there because I was, and then the scene where he's bringing the dog to show to the fucking parents and stuff, and it just, and I knew it was coming because I'd read the book, and I was like, oh, I don't want to, and it is a graphic shot, but it's for a purpose. It's not gratuitous. It's not for
No, it's
shock
not done for
value.
shock value. It's done to show he's at his fucking wits end with this situation. He literally dug up his beloved dog, like the last, like it's obviously been in the ground for a while. It's not in the best condition, and he's literally carrying it like you're carrying a child,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like,
Yes.
"Look what you did," and it's
Mm-hmm.
just,
It's
it's
it won't leave me. And I've seen a lot of shit, Marty, but that's something that it made me pull away. But again, I like to think of myself as a very serious horror fan, and I don't, you know me, I don't like to pussy. I tell you, I know I'm gonna
no,
fucking
you're not.
watch it. I'm a horror fan and stuff. But this is one of the few movies that it did make me, even though it's not as graphic as a lot of shit
Like
I've seen.
I've got a question to the lads in the chat. Um, when it comes to horror movies, and there's a chance a child will be killed or a dog will be killed, which would you prefer to get the chop?
How old is the child? If it's a little child, it's harder. If it's an older kid, then don't hurt the dog. Now, if it's a little kid, then it's a harder choice. But if it's an older kid, well, child.
Child. Okay.
That's a horror fan for you. Like I don't like if it's a little kid, that's hard. Like it's Gage in the road. It's like, oh God, no, no, no. But if it's like if he's 17 or 15 or something, well, yeah.
Things aren't looking good with yeah, youth. Fucking.
What
But
about for
yeah,
you, Marty?
um, yeah, I'm the same.
And look
Anything
at
that
my
happens to little
dog.
kids,
Look at
but
my dog
teenagers,
before you answer.
murder the fuck out as many teenagers as you like. Fuck them with their fucking MP3 players and their fucking, they're collecting fucking vinyls. Jen, I think Jen's frozen. Hang on, I'll knock her out there, and I will let her back in again. Hopefully she come back in. She's coming back. Wait, you preferred the dog to die, Larry? Jesus. That Jesus Christ. That's I no way. No way. Hopefully Jen will come back in. She's just having some trouble with her internet. Oh yeah, no, Brutus. I'll get her. I'll get her to show him to you when she comes back. Hopefully she'll be back. She'll be back. Nate, the feds arrived. They watched the stream. The cops arrived and just bust in. She got swatted on the ground. God damn it! That's fucking gonna happen one of these days. Fucking Ruby Ridge. Fucking stream gone wrong. There we go.
Sorry about that, darling.
I was telling the lads the feds had just bust through your window. Come here. Move your laptop a bit. Larry wants to see Brutus.
Okay.
Do you know, we had a sad moment about dogs there with the movie. Tell people a bit about Brutus, actually, Jen. And is she frozen again? Jesus, she is. That's the cops. They keep on coming in. That, or they're hacking my fucking laptop because Jen was doing all this fucking, saying all this illegal shit. She'll be back. Actually, how many of you guys in the chat are dog owners? I'd love to own a dog, but the apartment's too small. I'd feel bad. That and I'd fucking shit everywhere and eat my cushion covers and stuff. But yeah, no. Yeah, no, hopefully SWAT didn't get her. Because like she wanted to condone murder and piracy. Imagine they bust in and it wasn't anything to do with like her talking about murdering people. It turned out the minute she mentioned piracy, that's what fucking caught her there. But yeah, guys, have any of you seen any of the Jack Ketchum's movies, The Offspring, or The Woman, or The Girl in the Basement? Nate, you got cats. I don't hate cats, but I'm not a fan of cats. You own a chimpanzee. Is that legal? Jesus Christ. I hope what happens at the start of Hope doesn't happen to you, dude.
What's legal? So, did Larry get to see Broody? I can't move it too much because I think that's what's messing up our connection.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. But yeah, no. Tell folks a bit about Brutus.
Brutus is a bulldog, and he's like my third child.
What age is he?
He's about 5 years old now. I've had him for about 5 years.
He's a good dog.
He's a very good dog. He sleeps with me. He not like that. Don't get bestiality, people. I mean, like he sleeps in the bed with me.
Look, lads, I'll be the first to admit that Jen is a fucking deviant, but she ain't fucking into bestiality.
Thank you. I feel like you've upheld my honor, darling.
This woman is absolutely fucking kinky and fucking absolute sexual deviant. There's probably nothing she won't do. She's probably garnered many a reputation around her town, but she's not into bestiality.
Thank you. I'm not. No, I would know. This is like my child.
I mean, this woman is probably the equivalent of the Scarlet Letter. I mean, she's probably, people are like, oh, step out of the way. But she's not into bestiality.
Thank you. I'm not. I have my morals too. No, the Brutus is like a.
I mean, an absolute trollop. This woman is probably the most loose moral.
Marty, you're talking about your girlfriend.
But she's not into bestiality.
Yeah. Just because I can't wear white to our wedding, I will wear black. I would have worn black even if I couldn't.
Yes. So I don't care, lads. Sure, my girlfriend's a strumpet, but no one talks about her that way. And she's frozen now. God damn it. It's called interspecies erotica. And I'll kick her again. I'm not literally kicking Jen. Just so you know. But yeah, no, have any of you guys seen The Woman or The Girl in the Basement or any of Lucky McGee's movies? Wait, none of you guys have ever used the word strumpet? It's like crumpet, except about a woman who has looser morals. Hopefully she'll come back again. And I'll end the stream because I think I think Jen's internet is pooping out on her, so we'll end it there and then. But yeah, no. Again, great movie. I think the fact it's so much more subtle and a lot more cerebral than the likes of the woman, that for me kind of makes it a must watch. And if you are a Ketchum fan, definitely check it out. There we go.
Sorry.
My strumpet's back. I mean, my girlfriend's back. Hooray!
Just because I'm not wearing any underwear, may or may not be wearing any underwear, does not make your point valid.
No, doesn't not. She's the beacon of moral fortitude. But yeah, no, by and large, this is definitely a must watch.
It is.
More people need to check it out.
And it's a must-read author. I think Ketchum is, if you want my humble opinion, he's always been my favorite author. I love Stephen King. There's a lot of other, Edward Lee. There's a lot of great authors out there. Robert Bloch, but Ketchum has all. And Robert Bloch was actually a mentor to Mr. Ketchum.
Yeah, Bloch was a fantastic writer, and fucking he started off in the same kind of doing the same kind of pulp writing as H.P. Lovecraft. If you're interested in Ketchum, guys, I don't have it in yet, but I'm going to add to the description of this video Jen's video counting down her top 10 favorite Ketchum novels. So watch that, check it out, and then use that as a reference point, because the lady knows her stuff.
You know, when I'm not knee deep in your penis.
Question for you.
What is the rape revenge movie you like again? Oh, there's Red to Kill, which is a very hard movie to find, but I strongly recommend it. There's a movie called Revenge from the 2000s, the mid 2000s. That's a great one. There's a lot of, I could give you a list of good rape revenge films, but my top one, it always is Red to Kill. Red to Kill, and it's a foreign film, and I want to show Marty one day. I really do.
I'll need to mentally kind of build myself up to that, because it's not something you just sit down, I'm guessing.
No, but there's a point to it. There's a lot of things, but there's a scene that I would really love to discuss with you about it. There's a really great scene in that, especially
Jen, Opal's asking Red to Kill, correct?
Yes, Red to Kill. It came out in 92, 93, and it's foreign. I believe it's Hong Kong, and it's a bitch to find, and you might have to go pirating for it, but it's worth it. I'm not condoning piracy. I'm just saying it's worth it. It's a really good movie, and you will have to. It's subtitles, but again, worth it. I love that part bothered you, not me saying knee deep in your penis. Well, I know my stuff when I'm not. I Spit on Your Grave is fantastic. I did a review on that. I did a review on that as well, a pretty in-depth one. There's a wonderful story. Well, not a wonderful, but there's a very interesting story for anyone who says that I Spit on Your Grave is just misogynistic. Actually, how that story came to be is the director literally saw the aftermath of a rape. They found a woman in the park and helped her to get to the cops, and basically the cops, by asking her questions, this was the 70s, guys, was basically the system was raping her again, and that's where he got the idea for the movie.
Yeah, it's, again, like as you said before, most people are put off by them, but you, because of your prior experiences with some shithead, that if I ever find, I may or may not remove their fucking head with a fucking trowel, you find them cathartic.
Yes, I do. And I can understand, but there have been other people who have been in my shoes that, can't ever watch it. And I totally understand it. But for me, because I didn't tell anyone for a long time, so the only therapy I had were these movies, and I could kind of get some of my power back through these women that, said, and it's not even the movies that where the women do it. Sometimes it's family members, and that was very therapeutic too, that someone would care enough about you to go out and say, I'm going to fucking kill this person, and, and right the wrongs. So yeah, I find it very cathartic. Yeah, it is hard to watch. It is very hard to watch, but there's a point to it. I get very frustrated with people who say, oh, it's just there for shock value. No, there's more to it than that.
Weird question, Jen. I like Miss 45. But do you think Abel Ferreira made a miscalculation by turning what could potentially be an anti-hero into a villain at the end, and kind of saying that like violence just begets more kind of irrational violence, because Miss 45 just starts shooting up the party, Halloween party at the end, right?
Yeah, there. See, it goes both ways for me because yes, I get it. What is the thing? An eye for an eye leaves the world. People only remember the first part. An eye for an eye leaves the world
But
half
no,
a time.
it's not the revenge element. It's when she starts shooting people that
Hmm.
have no connection to what happened to her, and it's like,
That's what I was saying though, but it can, like, if you take it too far, revenge can start to the blood and poison will spill onto innocent people, and that's why you should never do it. Easy to say, but then when you've said the horrible things happen to you and you've run out of options, I'm the wrong person to ask.
I just think it could have been more nuanced. That maybe she finds the dude who did it, but she's also killed in the process of killing him. I
But
like
would that
it.
be kind of the thing of her sins, like punishment for her sins, and was
Yeah,
or
yeah, but I just never got why she started shooting up the kind of Halloween party, the ball she was at.
because she just kind of, going off the deep end. Eventually you're
Mm.
gonna, everything that happened, you're and I'm not fair play, everything that happened to her, who wouldn't go a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I like the fact I get where you're coming from, Marty, and I understand, but sometimes things don't get wrapped up as neatly as we'd
Oh
like.
no, no, I get you. You can't. Everything can't be kind of sunshine and roses. But yeah,
But then
I
look who
think
you're
we.
talking to, darling.
I don't know.
Yes. Yes, and sometimes it's the only solace you have, because there's a lot of times where people don't, for whatever reason, don't feel comfortable to go to the police or tell family or tell friends, because in the back of your head you think, well, maybe I brought this on, or maybe I did something,
Yeah.
and you feel as dirty as you feel dirty, and you just don't want to talk about it.
That's another savage hurdle that women have to fucking overcome. They've
Mhm.
overcome to an extent, but it's always the kind of um
What were you wearing?
yeah, the whole, did you bring it on yourself kind
Well,
of
you
thing,
smiled at him, so what was he supposed to think? You were leading him on,
There
you know?
was a case, I think 2015, of a girl that went to a party with a bunch of Irish rugby players, and that divided the fucking nation. And the poor woman had her underwear kind of shown in the trial, and she was asked, basically, I she was drunk, and whether or not under duress or not realizing it, engaged in intercourse with four players simultaneously.
Yeah,
And then when she went to the police about it, she was kind of
shamed.
brushed off. And yeah, no one, as I think there was a kind of solicitor who was talking about it in the news. There was no winners in that trial that day.
No.
Everyone was brandished. But it is, we live in a society where we need to fucking listen to women, and we need to also be able to identify as well when there are some women that, that mightn't. I'm not fucking gaslighting. I do not want to gaslight, but I think the whole Amber Heard thing also hurt that. If you have,
Yes,
you need to be a lot more scrupulous, and you need to realize, okay, we need to weed out unlegitimate kind of fucking accusations so they don't tarnish or delegitimize
the real
actual
ones.
fucking, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing. It's a hard thing, but there's always questions, and nothing's ever black and white. In my case, the person that did it to me apologized right after, so I was like, "Well, he's sorry, so, does that make it okay?" And that messed him with my head for a very long time. So, I mean, every situation is different, but it's tough to tackle. You feel like, okay, but yeah. But these movies are very therapeutic. They help, and I think that's what one thing that speaks to film is that sometimes that's the only therapy some people have, and film can help us make sense of things that have happened to us that we might not be able to tell anybody else. You know what I mean? Until we
Yeah,
can tell.
as
So
you said, catharsis for people.
yes, very much so. And the films don't judge or talk back to you, but you can replay the scene until it starts to make sense in your own head. Or at least it did with me. It did with me. And I'm sure there's other people. And it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Sometimes it's just about understanding the world, or, and sometimes it can be good things too. It makes you, film is film again, like we've talked about, Marty. So it's just a movie on one hand, but sometimes film is the whole world to somebody, depending on where you are in your life. And if you can't get out of the circumstances, film lets you get out for at least for a while and see the world or a different perspective. And it doesn't judge.
It's an escape. It's an
Yes.
escape, and it's I was just talking with LJ that we need to do the Nightbreed stream, but as well as having LJ on a stream with us, we need to have Nate on at some stage as well. If you haven't seen Nate's stuff, he does really good reviews, and definitely check. Need to have him on. We need to get a panel again going about some other movie. I don't know, or maybe a topic, maybe
well, the Nightbreed will be, I think everyone is down to do the Nightbreed one. That'll be great, and we can do topics and get some people together. I'd be down for that. I'd love to work with
Nate,
Larry and Eric again.
Like that, or have Nate, Eric or Larry and Nate, and maybe do another hot takes episode with some other people as well.
Yeah, I'd love that. If they want to work with me, I don't know, Marty. They might not want to work with me.
She's all bark and no bite. Don't worry about it.
I've bit you, Marty.
I did. Anywho, Jen, what's next for you and Sparky?
Hopefully Sparky is out of town right now, but hopefully they'll be coming back, and we're gonna try to get a Tales from the Crypt out, and we're gonna try to talk about Lowlifes, and there's a few other movies that we want to talk about. I guess we're gonna have to fucking talk about Tarot, even though I don't want to, because I knew before everyone was saying what a piece of shit it was. We were sitting in the movie theater for another movie.
Were you Roy Scheidner in that part in Jaws? Get out of the water!
I was like, and Sparky's like, you know what? I'm interested. Everyone's shitting on it. And he goes, maybe they're just shitting. And I know they're shitting on it because it's a horrible goddamn movie. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to lay it right now, Marty. It's going to be a piece of shit. It's going to make Swim Fan, or not Swim Fan. Was it Swim Fan? The stupid fucking swimming pool one and fucking Imaginary look like good movies is what I'm betting. Fucking Tarot. I don't want to review it, Marty.
No, you could say, babe, that review's on the cards.
It's a good thing I love you as much as I do.
Me
too. We've got horror hangouts too. Sean Patrick, Monty.
Tuesday they're doing horror hangouts. Is that tomorrow? I can't tell what day of the week it is.
No, it's the next day. Not tomorrow's Monday. The next day, Tuesday.
I've lost what fucking day.
Oh, and can I plug one more thing? Speaking of the Horror Miser Monty G, me and Velvet will be on the Horror Miser Monty G's channel on Friday night discussing Chucky, the next season of Chucky. We're gonna be talking all about Chucky.
Nice.
I don't know why I called it that.
This didn't say cheese, I suppose.
We could. I'm gonna give it to Monty and go. Can we talk about the Charles Lee Ray and Chuck E. Cheese? We could go get some. I want some Chuck E. Cheese. Marty, I want some cheese.
Monty's so nice. He'd just agree with you. Okay, I'll change the stream to that. Myself, I'm going to do a review of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I just want to say Kevin Durand is brilliant. Noah Teague is brilliant. Freya Allen, fantastic actress. The real villain of that movie is Freya Allen. What an obnoxious, horrible bitch. That's, my God, Jesus.
I can't wait for that review. I can't wait because I've heard
I'm going to cut loose on that. Also, I'm going to do a deep dive video into how an Irish...
In my muff? A deep dive into my muff?
I'd need some serious fucking... I'd need a dive-in bell and like one of those old...
Like Michael Myers!
No, Jesus Christ.
That's a joke only me and Marty. Don't worry in the chat. That's only a joke me and Marty would get.
God damn it. But no, I'm going to be doing a deep dive
Into my
into
mouth?
again. This woman is not a strumpet. Whatever.
You're
But
going to be doing it. And you've said Cox a lot. You said Brian Cox, and I just want to go Cox. Anyway.
I'm going to do a video exploring how an Irish stout company hired the animating team behind the anime Akira to do a commercial for Murphy Stout. So yeah, keep your eyes out for that. I just want to thank everyone who came into the chat. Horror Cat Dad, Explorer of Horror, Nate, great guy Larry and Nate are awesome. Coffin Crew and Opal Garcliffe. You're new to the channel. Appreciate you stopping by. You kick ass. Thanks again for stopping by, guys. Make sure to check out Jen's stuff. As I said before, I'm going to have a link to her video her counting down her top 10. Is it top 10 Jack Ketchum novels?
Yes, and but spoiler, guys, all of them are good. No matter which one you go with, he didn't write a bad one.
So yeah, again, if you're looking for suggestions, that's a good source for that. With that, we're going to Vamoose. So
you're gonna deep dive into my muff now, right?
I'll need some kind of fucking, I don't know, special lights, infrared lights, and breathing apparatus.
Ooh.
Do you think I'll need some kind of air rifle just in case there's something down? Love you. Anyway, with that, let's get the fuck out of here, babe. Goodbye.
Okay. Bye, guys, and tell your mothers Happy Mother's Day.
Yes.
If happy you're in Mother's the state.
Day. But if just
mothers and penises.
Don't get your
mother a penis. Has a penis, that's
don't give your mother a penis for fucking Mother's Day.
Good night. Some mothers would love a penis. I would love an Irish penis for